A 16-year-old Ayan lived in a small village where every day began before sunrise. Before going to school, he carried 2 heavy buckets of water across the fields, then walked nearly 5 kilometers wearing torn shoes and carrying a backpack that had been stitched together several times. Many mornings he attended class without breakfast, yet he never complained. People looked at him with pity, while others laughed at his dreams. One day, a shopkeeper mocked him, saying, "Dreams are only for rich people." Ayan simply smiled and continued walking. Every evening after school, he worked at a small mechanic's shop, returning home with grease-covered hands long after sunset. His mother often asked why he didn't rest, but Ayan always replied, "I'll rest after I build the life we deserve." Years earlier, his father had passed away, leaving nothing but debt. There were no savings, no inheritance, and no one willing to help. The only valuable thing Ayan owned was an old notebook in which he wrote the same sentence every night. "One day, my story will inspire someone else." As time passed, many of his friends left school to earn money, believing education could never change their lives. Others accepted poverty as their destiny, but Ayan refused to give up. Whenever electricity failed, he studied beneath a lonely streetlight. During heavy rain, he wrapped his books in plastic to protect them. Even in freezing winter, when his fingers became numb, he continued reading. Months turned into years, and one afternoon, his school announced a national scholarship examination. The winner would receive a full scholarship to one of the country's best colleges. Everyone wanted the opportunity, but there was one obstacle. The examination center was more than 200 kilometers away, and the travel expenses were greater than what Ayan's family earned in an entire month. That night, heartbroken, he quietly folded the application form and placed it back inside his notebook, believing his dream had come to an end. The following morning, something unexpected happened. The elderly owner of the mechanic's shop approached him with a small envelope and said, "I've watched you work for 3 years. I've never seen anyone work this hard without complaining." Inside the envelope was enough money to cover the entire journey. Ayan tried to refuse, but the old man smiled and said, "This isn't charity, it's an investment." Tears filled Ayan's eyes. A week later, he boarded a bus before sunrise and traveled for nearly 6 hours to the examination center. As he entered the hall, he saw students wearing expensive watches, carrying brand new laptops, and discussing private tutors. Ayan had nothing except 2 pencils. Fear filled his heart for a moment, but then he remembered every barefoot walk to school, every late night under the streetlight, and every sacrifice his mother had made. Closing his eyes, he whispered to himself, "I didn't come this far to be afraid." The examination began. Weeks later, as thousands of students anxiously refreshed the results page, one name appeared at the very top, Ayan Malik, rank 1. His entire village celebrated as though they had all achieved the victory together. Holding the result sheet with trembling hands, his mother whispered, "We did it." Yet Ayan understood that this was not the end of his journey. It was only the beginning. College life was even more challenging. Many students spoke fluent English while he struggled to understand lectures. They owned expensive computers while he relied on old library machines late into the night. Once again, people doubted him and said he didn't belong there. Instead of arguing, Ayan worked even harder. He watched free online lessons, practiced speaking English every day, and read one new book every week. Slowly, the impossible became possible. By graduation, the same professors who had once ignored him praised his determination. Soon afterward, a technology company offered him his first job, with a salary greater than his family's yearly income. The first thing he bought wasn't a phone, a car, or expensive clothes. He bought a beautiful home for his mother. As she stepped inside, she looked around with tears in her eyes and softly asked, "Is this really ours?" Ayan smiled and replied, "Yes, you never have to worry again." Years later, Ayan founded his own successful company and dedicated himself to hiring talented young people from villages like his own. During every interview, he asked applicants only one question: "What challenge have you refused to give up on?" Because he believed talent could be taught, skills could be learned, but determination came only from the heart. One evening, he returned to his old school as the chief guest. Standing in the same classroom with its broken windows and dusty walls, a young boy asked him, "Sir, were you always successful?" Ayan smiled and answered, "No, I failed many times. I was rejected. I was underestimated. I was told my dreams were impossible." The room fell silent as he looked at every student and said, "The difference between people who succeed and people who don't isn't luck, money, or talent. It's simply that one group stops walking when life becomes difficult, while the other group keeps moving." Finally, he opened the same old notebook he had carried since childhood. Though its pages had become worn and the ink had faded, one sentence remained perfectly clear: "One day, my story will inspire someone else." As Ayan smiled, he realized that day had finally arrived.